Okay, Dr. Sang Sang, I'm here with you. My name's Ed.
Yes.
We're here to discuss bad debt expense and Del Mar College.
Ooh, that's my favorite topic.
Well, you've been pursuing it for over a year now. I've got your August 14th, 2013 letter to Dr. Mark Escamilla asking for, actually, maybe you can summarize it.
Okay, what I'm trying to do is at a workshop, budget workshop, prior to August the 14th, 2013, one of the administrators, Dr. Lee Sloan, who at that time was the Vice President of Finance and I think it was Business, Finance, and Administration, said during the workshop that accounts receivables were only written off after all collection efforts were exhausted. So I wanted to find out, since I had heard through the grapevine that maybe that was not exactly what was going on. So I asked for certain documents. There were two major brands of those, okay? All documents from January 2003 to present related to any and all activity in general ledger account styled allowance for doubtful accounts, or any related accounts used for reducing accounts receivable without benefit of collecting them. And then, you know what that's all about. And essentially, I wanted all of the return receipt cards, the green cards, because I wanted to make sure that they were making a valid attempt at collection. So that's what I asked for on that date.
And to clarify, an accounts receivable is an asset to Del Mar.
Right.
That's something that a student, or in this case, a third party owes to Del Mar, so it's an asset. It's like if you own a car, that's your asset. So Del Mar owns these assets. And what we're looking at is where they wrote them off because they couldn't collect them. We also want to know what procedures they went through to attempt to collect these assets.
Right.
So, you wrote the Public Information Act request. I went with you to visit Del Mar because Dr. Sloan had said, well, here's a letter from Dr. Sloan.
Yeah, that's the one where he indicated that he had the documents ready for us to view.
And we went in there, and he did. He had, in fact, massive amounts of documents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you can imagine 3 or 10 years worth.
If we'd stood those documents up in one stack, it would have exceeded 5 feet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We went through those. We spent a couple of hours there. We went through those documents. Nothing was redacted.
No.
We saw no green cards. Now, I've collected a lot of accounts receivable during my tenure as an accountant, and I always sent certified return receipt requests.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We saw none, 0.
No.
And then we stumbled on this thing. That's a memo from Vice President of Administration, Finance, and Student Services, Dr. Lee Sloan,
Right.
to Dr. Mark Escamilla. Now, the odd thing, several odd things on this memo. Write-offs and defaults. They're writing off third-party bad debts.
Okay.
Now, a third-party bad debt is not a student bad debt.
No.
That's somebody that owes the college money.
Mm-hmm.
And attached to this memo was this summary
Right.
that identifies $185,750.64 in third-party bad debts.
Right.
Now, first of all, I thought that was odd. Why do these people not pay their bills? And then we went through it,
Mm-hmm.
and you picked out Texas A&M Kingsville,
Right.
$54,267.29.
That's correct.
Aren't they solvent?
Well, you know, I mean, taxpayers ought to be be shook up a little bit about them not paying a debt like that off. And how do they incur it? That's what is more curious about it.
Oh, that's the second largest.
Right. Well, the first was the Coastal Bend Council of Governments. I assume that's it. It says Council of Government, and it doesn't say Coastal Bend Council of Government, but who else around here would would do that. There wasn't enough room on that particular line to write in the Coastal Bend Council of Governments.
And that's $89,073.50.
Yes, sir. That's a lot of money.
I don't remember any green cards attached to that either.
No, there were no letters I saw no correspondence whatsoever. This is, and I didn't see anything to Kingsville either. As far as a request or, certified return receipt, or why do you not want to pay your debt?
I don't recall seeing any lawsuits either.
No. And then I'll just interject, the third one was the early graduation scholarship. Now, I'm not so sure that I've been able to track that down, but that was another $13,609.25. So with all of these, from Verizon, I assume that's the phone company, to the Army Continuing Education, CCAD, the Christus Spahn Hospital, Corpus Christi State School, and all the rest of this, the Department of Human Services, Driscoll Children's Hospital was almost $2,000. The total was $185,750.64.
Now, Dr. Sloan wrote the memo to Dr. Mark Escamilla,
That's correct.
getting authorization to write this debt off as uncollectible.
Yes.
One thing I found very, very interesting about the memo is I'm also submitting for your review and recommendation to write off third-party and other accounts receivable balances from 2008 and prior. Now, the next sentence is confusing to me.
Right.
These accounts have previously been expensed. How could that be? These are assets. How could they previously have been expensed?
Right.
And then it says all other collection efforts have been exhausted.
Right.
That would include sending green cards, filing lawsuits. We found no evidence of that.
No, none whatsoever. And I specifically asked for that. Any certification, any verification that that the accounts were the people were asked to pay their bills.
This is terribly confusing to me. So what I did, here's your documents. What I did under your guidance was wrote a Public Information Act request to Kingsville, Texas A&M.
Right.
Said, well, I'd already read them a letter and they didn't see fit to correspond to me,
Right.
nor did the Council of Government. So I did a PIA.
Okay.
Got a response.
Well, they assigned you a number first and said they were going to look at it. I think that was on one date, and then 4 days later, you can read what they sent you back.
That is correct. Here's my Public Information Act request.
Okay.
And the final email said, after a thorough search, we found no documents associated with your request. Well, hold it. We've got a document here writing off debt, which is an asset, that says it was Kingsville, Texas A&M Kingsville.
Now, yes, it's very clear.
Kingsville said no documents. I wonder who it is. I'll guarantee it's $54,000 to somebody.
Right.
The question is, who is it?
Well, that's you're the accountant. I couldn't answer that one yet. But something smells bad. Something smells real bad.
And I wonder how involved the Board of Regents has been with this, because these are significant numbers.
Well, I think our board generally, has erred at times by taking what certain administrators tell them. I mean, it's not a very curious board. They don't have any financial person on there except maybe the president or chair, whatever they call it. I won't mention his name. He's a bank vice president around here.
But he's not a CPA.
No, I don't think he's CPA.
You know, when I walk into that administrative building, there's a sign that says internal auditor, and it points down the hall.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no internal auditor.
No.
And hasn't been one for a long time.
No, and the Southern Association of Schools and Colleges said that they needed one. And I think the state does too.
Based on what I see, they really need one badly.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a problem. So I do think that the top administrator over there needs to jump all over this and find out what in the world's going on.
going to send out a Public Information Act request early next week to Mark Escamilla, requesting all the documentation of what the board saw and approved on these third-party bad debts
Right.
of over $180,000.
Right. Well, just earlier this week, we both sat there and had the CFO tell us that next month they're going to have the internal audit done. Or the internal audit.
It's going to come up for discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, and they better start discussing big time.
That's $1 late.
Day late,
Day
dollar
late.
short.
Day late, $180-some thousand short.
Yeah. Well, what bothered me, Ed, was that, you know, for the life of me, I guess if we added up all the student debt and what we've got here, aren't we led to understand with some bits and pieces, we're looking at about $1 million, possibly, maybe more?
Over the term of the college, yes, it exceeds $1 million of bad debt.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's real easy to get a loan and real easy not to pay.
Right. Well, what they do is they, you know, as all those letters indicated, they send a letter to the student. It's not certified return receipt. You know, it's forever stamp on the mail, I guess, or whatever they get as a thing. And it says, if you don't pay us back, then we will never provide you with transcripts.
And apparently that's a pretty substantial threat because they don't pay them back.
Well, the thing is, you know, if I go over there and run $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 debt and go spend it on something other than classes and bookwork, that's a significant amount of money. And I don't need transcripts. I can go to another school and say, I've never been to Del Mar. There's no way to check that out. You can just go over to, you know, A&M Kingsville or UT or Harvard, whatever you want to do. They're not going to check it out. So it's a sad situation, and it needs to be addressed extensively by this administration and that board. That's my suggestion, because you know, that could be a real impact if this goes to the state or comptroller's office or something.
It's going to the state controller because I've already got a case number for that.
Okay. All right.
My concern now is that Del Mar wrote off $54,000 to Kingsville. Kingsville doesn't have any documentation of it.
Right.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is, but something is terribly wrong.
Right. Well, I guess we'll just keep the public informed in this manner. That's the only thing I know to do. I've done it for years, and it seems to have worked most of the time.
We'll post a follow-up shortly. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.